one question I want to ask you,
Yeah.
and I think it's a really, really important one. So how do you feel like when someone unfollows you? Does it just depend on the person, or how do you approach it?
Yeah, so I think this is like a great question to ask, and for our listeners out there that might be suffering from an unfollow,
Yeah.
and they don't really know how to feel about it, I think it really just depends. I don't know that I'm the best. Oh, well, I don't know if I'm the best person to talk about for all platforms because, for example, like with my main Instagram, like if somebody unfollowed me, I would not notice probably. Like I know generally how many followers I have, but it could drop off by like 20, 30, and I'd be like, yeah, that's just how it's always been.
Yeah.
Or it could go up by 20, 30, I'd be like, that's just how it's always been.
It'll be 30,000, and you'd be like, I've always at 30,000.
Yeah. No, I would notice a big spike
gotcha.
one way or another, but I have from like Twitch, like we've talked about it before, I've been streaming a lot lately, and that's like a number that is like more important to me, I'd say, because with followers on Twitch, honestly, followers on anything, like social media status is kind of like worth its weight in gold nowadays because of like promos and ads and stuff like that people can do. But there's like milestones that I want to hit on my Twitch where, for example, if I have X number of followers and I'm like, I'm that much closer to this goal, and then I get on the next day and I notice that a couple people had unfollowed and my number went down, it is kind of a bummer initially. But I do try to, and I don't know if there's a good or a bad way of thinking about it, I do try to minimize it to a number. I think.
Okay.
I think if I had to roundabout talk about it, I do just try to think of my social media status as like a number, and maybe that's like a poor way of thinking about it, but my perspective on it is that it's just social media, and if I do think about it from like, in this instance, it really is a business, and I guess I do a good job of separating business and personal. Some of them are like strictly for a business thing, and although I do truly value and appreciate people that follow me and want to engage with me, like I value that actual engagement far more than I value the number. And I think that somebody that's going to unfollow me, at least in that setting or that scenario, isn't necessarily like worth the time of getting worked up over.
Yeah.
And then I guess to kind of tie it all back personally, if it's something from like a personal Instagram and stuff like that, I would try not to find fault with the person that like unfollowed because, they've got their reasons. And until I speak to them about it, I'll never truly know. I think you would drive yourself crazy trying to figure out why somebody's doing something because you're not in their head. As long as I've got that personal engagement with them, like if it's somebody that I know in real life and I still have that in real life engagement with them, I don't think I would let it bother me too much. If I really wanted to, I guess I could speak to them about it. Or maybe I don't have that engagement with them in real life, and that's part of the reason that they hit that unfollow.
Well, and I think you make a really good point. Like we originally talked about, business and personal are two separate things.
Yeah.
So I'm in the same boat to a degree. So like, I don't really try to put myself too much. I do it maybe the second it happens, the second I find out about it, like why the unfollow happened. If I'm in a business perspective, if I'm on YouTube and I see that I have one less subscriber, I don't think about it because that is a purely business move. Like they are no longer invested in my content. They, for whatever reason, it sucks. I mean, like maybe I need to change something, but it's a business move. It's like me deciding to go shop at Acme instead of Walmart, right?
Yeah.
There's really, I don't take that offensively because I'm like, look, my product maybe is something that they don't not like as much, but other people will. It's different though with personal because personal, if I don't really know the person very well and they unfollow me, okay, move on, whatever. I'll unfollow them too and we're done, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Wipe my hands of it. But if it's someone I know and someone that I'm like friends with, then it becomes something a little bit different. So, and that's where I think things become a little bit more tricky. And this happened to me many times throughout my life, and I've probably done it myself.
Yeah.
Right? So and really there's no guilty party in this. Like no one is at fault here because it's just a matter of perspective. Just for me, I take it and I try not to put myself too much into the idea of like, into the other person's head. What were they thinking? Why did they do this? Why would they do X, Y, Z? Whatever. Like, because I can't control their line of thought. I can't control anything they do, right? So I try not to think about it too much. But it's like, it's almost like an unfollow has replaced kind of like being ostracized from a social group or from that person in real life. So like, if they unfollow you, it almost like it takes, either way I take it at least initially until I'm like over it in like 5 minutes. I'm like...
5 minutes?
Yeah, like it is though. At first I'm like, man, that kind of hurts. It stings a little bit. But then I'm like 5 minutes later, I'm like, all right, now I'm playing piano or I'm doing something, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like not even thinking about it. I'm working on a YouTube video or schoolwork, so whatever. But it's time I'm like, wow, they don't think I'm worth following. That's like how I take it in the first like 5 minutes, right? If it's someone I don't know, I don't care, right? If it's someone I do know that I'm friends with, I'm like, oh, that's kind of sucks. I mean, like I thought we were cool, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's really, sometimes it's for reasons, they might have deleted their profile, right?
Yeah,
Something
shit,
like
that's
that.
a good point.
That happens a lot. And things like that, right? So like sometimes I think we can it's replace, the way I described it as well was like, hey, it's almost like saying like, hey, you're at the cool kids lunch table. Oh, now you're not. Now you're not cool enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Can't sit here.
Right. You can't sit here anymore. So you're back on your own thing. And I think it ties into the idea of ratio. So I don't know how you view ratio, but like to me, it just depends. If it's a business thing, I understand why ratio is important. I don't approach things that way, but I'll let you speak on that.
Yeah, so I definitely think the most important ratio is your kill to death ratio.
I had to think about that for a second. I was like,
oh my God.
Yes. In Fortnite, do you have that?
I'm sure there's like some website that tracks it, but it doesn't actively track it like
it's
Call
not
of
on the
Duty or
game?
something
It's not like
that.
Call of Duty? Okay.
Nah.
That's
I mean,
weak.
you can find it out because you can see how many games you've played versus how many kills you've gotten.
Okay.
And I guess that's kind of like what it would be because you only die once per game in
Nick
Fortnite.
is our Fortnite expert.
Yeah.
So
God, thank you so much, man. I'm honored
I
to
should
be the
get you a
Fortnite
medal,
guy.
like a Fortnite expert.
Hilarious.
Yes,
dude.
that would be so good.
Hey, I do love Fortnite, and I will go to bat for Fortnite any day of the week.
I've only played it once. So.
Oh, dude, I just love it so much. The way that you feel about Last of Us is how I probably feel about Fortnite.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, back to the question we were talking
gamer speak aside.
Yes.
Yeah. So as far as my ratio goes, I don't. Once again, I think I have to separate the two and kind of talk about it. One is business and one is personal.
Yeah.
From a business perspective, it definitely looks better to have a high number of followers and a low number of following.
Why though?
Because it's like a supply and demand thing. When people
that's
are
a good point.
following you, it's like the demand is high, but the supply is low. And the thing that I thought about when we kind of briefed each other on this ahead of time is people that have social media status that are higher ranking in the social media world, in that universe. Something that I've seen people do plenty of times is if they want to promo something or another, they can say, oh, like this video or follow, I'm going to be following people back for the next 5 minutes.
Right.
And people will go crazy. They're like, oh my God, it's time to follow.
I got to follow from
somebody
Katy Perry.
cool. Yeah, somebody with a blue check mark might follow me back.
Right.
And it is like is arbitrary the right word? As in like it doesn't really necessarily mean anything. It only holds as much value as you assign to it.
But you said, I mean, and you and I both in agreement, social media does have its weight in gold to an extent.
Yes. So once again, tying back to the business versus personal.
There you go.
So if you're a business person, once again, you want to kind of give that appeal that there's much more demand for me than there is supply. Because there are people, and I've been guilty of it before too, trying to build Instagram pages. Like, I'm not going to front like, oh, everybody just wants to follow me.
Right.
But no, like where you'll go out and you kind of got to market yourself and, follow some people, see if they want to follow you back, see if there's some mutual interest. And I've had pages that I've tried to build, just random pages, not my personal one, where I'll go out and I'll try to follow people that I believe would be interested in the page or the product that I have available.
Right.
But then if I have 37 followers and I'm following 1,000 people, a prospective person might look at that and be like, nah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because clearly, at least at that time, and social media is weird about this type of stuff because it doesn't necessarily mean that the product or service, whatever it may be, that you have available through your social media business isn't of quality. It could just be brand new, but it's hard to break through when you only have 7 people following you, right? So you try to do these things to get up, and then you immediately like remove your following numbers to try to make it look like you've got a better ratio.
It just seems so. I don't know. I don't like that, but I do understand it, and I understand that 99% of businesses do that.
Yeah, it's
celebrities, social media, whatever. They all do it.
Yeah, whether you're literally a business or if you're like a personal brand is your business,
like an actor. Yeah,
exactly. It's important, and I know from studying this type of stuff and like researching it.
You were a business major.
Yeah, marketing. Shout out.
Yeah.
But companies will reach out, and depending on what your reach is to people. So if you have 50,000 followers and you have X amount of impressions, the price of what they'd be willing to pay you to put an advertisement on your page or to shout something out is going to vary because of that. So from a business perspective, you always want to make it look as good as possible, right?
Right, and I totally understand that.